when that happened? Were you guys, was Ethan and Xana and you guys, were you going over to the area? Were you going over to the area and hanging out over here?
When the assault happened?
Yeah. I don't mean at night, I just mean in general. Had you started to go party at these off-campus houses at that point?
In like the... Sorry, I don't understand the question.
The semester when this happened.
Okay.
And when was this?
I'm not 100% sure on the day. I think it was early second semester.
Of this year?
Of last year.
Of last year?
Of last year. It didn't happen this semester. We would know exactly when that happened, I believe. I'm sure. I assume we talked to her.
We talk on the phone frequently.
Yeah.
What up, this?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, so early second semester of last year, were Sigma Chi's right? Saying is, so early second semester of last year, were Sigma Chi's regularly coming to off-campus parties over here?
Yeah. That would have been back when she lived at this house. She called it. And
okay.
Yeah, we would. It was pretty often. Ethan was usually over there because I believe at that point Xana and him weren't officially dating, but they just
was going over there too to parties.
No, never really came over there. At least that I knew of. He was, and he kind of just stuck more with that kind of crowd of his. Didn't, like, when there was a party going on at Sigma Chi, he would come over because there was a party going on at Sigma Chi, but he wouldn't go out of his way to go to, like, other parties. If, like, the cities were going off campus to some other house, he wouldn't join us there. He wasn't a great member anyway. He kind of only showed up when we were doing an event or something.
How would you characterize his personality? Is he confrontational, violent, angry?
I mean...
Friendly?
Not friendly. Well, I mean, he's kind of friendly, but he's the kind of guy who is just a drunken idiot. Like, he gets drunk, you can't talk to him, doesn't matter what you tell him, he might get aggressive with you. He doesn't really, at least from what I can tell, never really meant any ill will by it, but was just kind of like a, get the hell away from me, who do you think you are? Like, kind of arrogant.
Do you think he resents Sigma Chi for kicking him out? To the point where he might want to do something to hurt Sigma Chi?
I don't think so. So he didn't remember the incident. He was blacked out. Still doesn't remember it happening. It would have been, I believe we talked to him about it, and said that, maybe it wasn't me, but someone talked to him about it, and said that he felt extremely terrible, had no idea that he was even capable of something like that, was really, really going through a lot of hard stuff, about it, and said that he felt extremely terrible, had no idea that he was even capable of something like that, was really, really going through a lot of hard stuff, and issues, and felt, terrible about that. So, I mean, despite him being somewhat arrogant and kind of rude and abrasive when you kind of meet him, he was someone that understood, like, his own pitfalls, I guess, and, had empathy and felt sorry for them. I personally don't think that he would try and get back at us because he already felt so terrible about what he did.
Did he object to being removed from membership?
No. So I don't know if he was able to object from being removed from membership. But he said, I think what he said, because he had written something and they read it for us before a chapter, and it was something along the lines of, I understand these, like, my actions are terrible, and whatever the house decides as my punishment is, I'll be accepting of.
Did he attend chapter after the incident?
No.
Was he not invited to attend chapter after the incident?
He was. He chose not to.
Chose not to.
Because he felt very bad and embarrassed, obviously, about it.
So if he wanted to, he could go address the house, and he chose not to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
I think he left it with just a letter as his addressing of the house because he really had nothing to say.
Okay. If I already asked you this, sorry. Is there anyone with whom Ethan did not get along with or experience conflict? And your answer to that is you don't know. Sorry if I'm paraphrasing. You don't know, but if there was, he wouldn't have been around him anyway.
Yeah, basically, he didn't spend time around people he didn't like.
Okay, reputation, strangers. Did he have a job of any kind or any source of making money while he was at school?
No, it was just his.
Past employment, are you aware if he had a job in the past summer?
Yeah, he used to work over, I think this most recent summer, he worked in, he had worked at a flower shop, in Mount Vernon. Yeah.
Person was always on his phone?
He was on his phone a lot.
What apps did he use the most?
I think mainly just social media apps, like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. But yeah, I mean, he just kind of go on it to be lazy and waste time, and we just do that pretty often.
Did he have a lot of followers?
Not sure.
Did you engage in that also? Were you like Snapchat and Instagram friends and all that?
Yeah, friends on Snapchat and Instagram. But Snapchat's how I would text him. It's rare that I would use just my phone app to text people. I just don't have as many phone numbers. I usually just get Snapchats. And so yeah, that's how we would communicate. I would be on Snapchat, and then we didn't really communicate on Instagram at all, though. I just followed him and, would see what he posts. And then I don't have TikTok, but...
That's good, because it's a big time waster.
Oh yeah, I know. That's the reason I refuse to get it, because I know if I do, I'll just sit on it for 3 hours straight.
Where did he eat?
Like, just normally,
Yeah.
dinner, just at the apartment.
You go get groceries, bring them back, and you guys just have your own little divided areas, and he can
Yeah.
make his own food there.
Because we don't have a chef. I'm sure you knew that. But yeah, he would just get stuff and eat at the house. He usually just ate a lot of mini corn dogs and Diet Coke. He didn't have the best diet, but...
Okay. The way he spends his time, as far as you know, in the last few months, where he's coming over to the house, I understand he goes down to apartment 10, plays games with Kyle a lot, goes over, stays at Xana's a lot, goes to class, I suppose, sometimes.
Yeah.
Any changes in that behavior from him on his daily routine that you've noticed?
No, I mean, I think he actually had gotten better about going to class this most recent semester.
Right.
So that would be the only change from what it was before of him not going to class, but he would still come over, text me, say, hey, can you give me a ride to so-and-so class that's on the other side of campus, because he didn't want to walk, and so I'd give him a ride and then pick him back up.
Why didn't he use his own cars?
I think a lot of the time, I'm not 100% sure, but I think a lot of the time it was like someone had blocked him in. because he used to park at Xana's, and there was like 4 or 5 different cars there, and every once in a while when I would drive by, I'd see his Jeep blocked in, so
Makes sense.
I just assumed that was the reason. I didn't really ask, but there was also like no parking at the area where he was going, so he wouldn't really be able to leave his car anywhere if he did, because it was a class where they would, I forget what class it was, but he able to leave his car anywhere if he did, because it was a class where they would, I forget what class it was, but they would like meet at areas like the industrial building around campus, and then they would like walk, make some food, get up, start drinking, go hang out with Xana, come back here, hang out with the guys.
Okay.
Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. This is all my thoughts, my speculations, my opinions. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Condolence to the families. I would like you all to pay close attention to what Conrad has asked and his answer.
Things. Where were you when you heard this had happened?
I was at the Whites.
Happened.
I was at the Whites.
Whose apartment is that?
It's there's a Sigma Chi, he was a Sigma Chi, and currently who's a Pi Phi.
Who are the 2 Sigma Chi's?
And they're both seniors, and I've known them for and then I met him up here.
Okay. And who told you? Who is?
He's also a Sigma Chi.
Is he older brother? Or,
No,
this
no,
is
no.
like very age. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not older, I guess. He's a Sigma Chi.
How did he find out about it?
I can't remember exactly how he found out. I think it was an extension of being friends with him.
You can get along with David?
Yeah, he did.
So, when you found out about it, what did you think? What was your reaction?
Well, at first I didn't believe it because, well, to give a little background, I had originally heard, we were just watching football. It was football Sunday, we were just over there watching football. And I had seen the message that said they're investigating a homicide on King Street. And I assumed one person at first. And then I saw that it was, or heard that it was more people. And then I started texting people to see if they're okay. I texted Ethan and Xana. And then, because I knew that they were, obviously Xana lived there, Ethan was there a lot, and I was there a lot too. And then I found out that it was 4 people. And originally I assumed it was some sort of like freak accident, like Adele got drunk, belligerent, and, got in an altercation, someone smashed a bottle on their head, and, somehow they just died or something like that, is what I thought. And then came in, and he was like, "Did you hear what happened?" And I was like, "Yeah, 4 people, like, this is crazy." And he goes, "No, Ethan and Xana." And then I just kind of didn't really know what to say. I just kind of sat there for a while. And then to call my mom and tell her. And then when I had to call and tell them as well. Is another Sigma Chi who's in my PC, and was the one I mentioned earlier, who was really good friends with Ethan. And neither of them live up here right now, so that's why I called them.
So after you understood the full facts that these 4 in that location had been murdered with a knife, who did you think did it? What do you think the motive was, the circumstances were?
I really don't have any idea. not a single person who I could as wanting to hurt Ethan or Xana.
The circumstances were with it.
I really don't have any idea. There's not a single person who I could peg as wanting to hurt Ethan or Xana. Obviously, I didn't know the other two very well. And yeah, I heard that it was a targeted attack. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you questions about the thing, but I wouldn't have assumed it was targeted towards Ethan. My assumption is that he was just collateral being there, and especially being as big of a man as he is, he's a threat, whether he has a weapon or not. So that's kind of what I assumed with that he wasn't, to be killed, but obviously I don't know the case. I'm only working off of just the information I've heard. But yeah, it still doesn't make sense to me.
So of the circles of friends that Ethan was, so big circle up here, the Greek system, the university at large, versus some random stranger, do you think that it's somebody in the Greek system, or do you think it's somebody outside the Greek system?
I think it would have to be someone inside the Greek system.
Why?
This is also going on a bit of conjecture, because I don't know.
That's what I'm asking.
But,
I'm asking you to speculate right now, so speculate away.
Just thinking in my own mind, their front door had a code and would lock if it was closed. So someone would have either had to be there enough to know the code. Granted, there was also the back sliding glass door, which isn't probably much of an issue to break into, but I don't know where they did break into, or if they did break in at all. So they would either have had to know the code, which was not something they shared often. I didn't even know the code, and I was there a lot. So they would either have to know the code, or if they didn't know the code and didn't break in, then they would have to be someone that was there often enough for it to not seem weird. Because I mean, they would have big parties there where I would see people that I didn't know. But if there was just some random stranger there that no one knew, like, it would raise some red flags. Someone would be like, hey, who's this guy over here or something, or who's this person? And someone would probably go talk to them and be like, hey, what are you doing here? No one knows you here. Something like that. So if they were there and had been there while people were there, I assume it had to be someone that they knew. Obviously, I don't know. And then, obviously, there's a chance that they, broke in through the back door or were hiding. So in that case, that doesn't really help. But
do you know if it was common to make sure that the slider was shut and locked before they went to bed? Or was security really a concern for them over there?
I feel like it was probably not that common of a thing, just knowing them, I think. I mean, oftentimes when they came back to the house, they were drunk, because it was usually after a party or something, or whatever. Excuse me. Or...
This isn't something you worry about in Moscow, Idaho.
Exactly. Yeah, and
I don't think we ever locked our doors to our apartments.
I
think we went home for break and didn't lock the doors. We're always open.
No, same thing. I mean, I leave my car unlocked up here with the keys in the ignition, or at least I used to. And I never had an issue, so I don't think it was ever something they really thought of. And, I mean, both Ethan and Xana were very happy people, but a little kind of, what's the word? Thick in the head at times, but...
Okay, the night before, were you at the Sigma Chi party?
I was.
And what do you remember about the party?